All right, so now we're really going to get into the nuts and bolts of this and some things that can really help you. Dr. Rob Scott's now going to talk about the 5 pillars of mental mastery. So,
all right, very good. I probably don't actually need this.
They know you're a doctor now.
That's right. So it's my ID and proof. But look, there's no instruments for how we apply this. This is about what you're thinking and what you're feeling. But the 5 pillars came out of, my struggle as an individual to figure out a plan, to find some sort of plan. And through my work as a doctor, it kind of crystallized into what it is today, this 5 pillars of mental mastery. And so I like the word mastery because it makes me feel tough. I think maybe I'm a bit of a control freak, but it means that I feel like I'm not being led around by the nose by my feelings and by this depression, by this thing. It reestablishes me in the driver's seat. But the 5 pillars in and of themselves, what they are, they include diet. So we know that it's important to be made of good stuff and to not consume things that make you worse. I alluded to alcohol tends to make your mental health much worse. It rarely helps, and but wider than that, nutrition is really important. There's a wide array of research into what supplements and zinc and magnesium and what make your mental health better or can improve your depression, but just on the basis that we are only made of things that we consume, and so if you really think about that, you want to be made of good stuff. The second pillar is exercise, and that sort of starting to broaden over towards what you do. The movement, just movement. Some people shudder when I mention exercise, but I think just some sort of movement. We know that 30 minutes a day for 5 days of the week is about as good as taking an antidepressant in terms of the response. So it's a fantastic method, and the side effects of this are you get a great body, you get a bit of a gentle suntan safely. There's fantastic side effects to it. Yeah. It can be social, and that brings us to the third pillar, which is tribe. Your social movements, the interactions you have with people around you, which when I was talking about the decompensation, those vanish. We stop socialising. People ring us or text us, and we just ignore it, and that just falls away. So really deliberately encouraging that pack. We are pack animals. We have always been in villages and tribes, and that's something that part of the modern world has kind of eroded a little bit. We've got social media, but I see that as more of a negative.
Well, it's getting back to the 2 that he's already mentioned is, I think, with tribe and also diet, we have so much access to it now, but it's junk. Do you know what I mean? Like back in the day, your social interactions were getting on the blower and going and seeing someone, or even I think back to when I was a kid. You'd get on your push bike and you'd find your friends. Yeah. I wonder whether they're at the skate park. I wonder whether they're the footy fields. But you'd go and get them, and you could touch and feel and kick the footy. Now we've got like social media is like junk food. Yeah. Right. But it's also like diet's the same. Like we have such easy access to food, but it's junk. We consume so much, but we're not actually getting good nutrients. And I think social interaction is kind of going that way as well, where it's like we get so much, but it's junk. Like I know myself, like I'll be talking to someone on Facebook or by text message or whatever, and I'll do a laughing emoji, but I'm not laughing. You know what I mean? Like it's just junk.
Is there a deadpan emoji?
There should be. Go on. I think that's a really important point.
And I guess that, like you said, those 3 kind of really do play together. And I'm a bit of an evolutionary scientist or psychologist or doctor. We think in even more ancient times, when we were in villages, we were running to catch our food and hunting, and we'd rarely get red meat. It would be an occasional thing. There'd be lots of plants and vegetables and things, and it would be a social event. And so diet, exercise, and tribe have all kind of dropped away with our modern experience. And depression in itself is an enormous burden of disease in the world, and so it's got to be a systems problem. But this this technique, can help to bring back some of that what our DNA knows that we need. But we kind of, as you said, it's good to think like social media as social junk social version.
Yeah, I mean, like all of it has its place. I mean, this is going to go on social media.
Don't burn it down.
But it's how much you feed that brain. And I suppose the one of the biggest things that I see and find with myself was the not switching off the brain enough. It's constantly going, and it was never designed to do that. It was never designed to just be an organ that just went and had no rest. But yet that's what we do, and that feeds into even our sleep. Yeah. People have a lot of trouble sleeping is because they're on such high alert all day that then you go and you just jump into bed and you think, oh well, I'll just go to sleep now, and your brain goes, we've been in fear for our life all day. We've been thinking all day about stuff that might hurt us, which in this day and age is not real half the time. And then you just expect to go to sleep, and it has other ideas. So but anyway, mate, go on. The next pillar.
And it does bring you, what you're saying brings us to the fourth pillar, which is psychology, or thinking about the way that you think. We use cognitive behavioral therapy and ACT therapy in all sorts of different ways, but the gist of it is thinking differently to achieve a different emotional outcome. Depression is often very negative self-talk. We're often the harshest. If we said to other people what we say to ourselves, we'd be like, what are you talking about? Stop that. But so self-kindness is a start to it. But then, mindfulness and mindful pursuits and mindful activity and that turning the brain off, like you said, and that's kind of your thing. But it's vital, in all of our treatment guidelines for any mental health problem, psychology is sort of the first step. So this is a huge thing, and probably 7 or 8 videos in and of itself. But thinking differently about yourself and about the way you think, and turning that brain off. For me, the fifth pillar is medication, and I think it can be vital, it can be life-saving, life-changing. But it is only one of 5 pillars, and so it can't do all the work on itself, and that's your experience and my experience as well in the past. Without any of the other stuff, you get given this thing and it fails. The medication in and of itself often fails, and so we have to pull the weight with these other things for the medication to really take effect. Now these medications have been studied more heavily than almost any other, and so we know very well what some of the side effects are, and often, in the pits of despair, these are really important. And I think if your doctor has put you on a medicine, it's really important that you continue it. But they're relatively safe, but they're not the whole story. And so I think those are the 5, and trying to thread each of those through the fabric of my wife laughs at me when I said this, and she said, you sound stupid, don't say that. But if you thread these 5 pillars into the fabric of your life, you can really discover a way to exist and have depression, and then it goes away. And it's really a minor thing. So
I think that's for mine, I definitely subscribe to the you can your brain kind of gets you into this so it can get you out. But I got a little bit too almost boisterous in a way with my views, and I actually had some experience where people close to me actually went like, oh well, I'm going to go off at cold turkey, and and that was not the answer either. That was actually dangerous. So I think for mine, I would love to see I would love to see any of my friends and family not have to rely on the medication side. But at the end of the day, sometimes people fall through the cracks, I suppose what it is, and you don't get it early because no one's born with depression. I don't think it's you're probably more, you could be more what do you call it? You can probably through maybe hereditary genes or something like that.
I think there is some genetic component to it, and there are families where there's a strong thread of these sort of problems. But I think it's a good point, is that a lot of this is learned or it's maladaptive behaviour. So as
Yeah.
you said, the modern world does things to us and we don't know how to respond, and that leads to this problem. But it's a good point that we tend to develop these as we go through.
Yeah. So, guys, that's this is how this was born. Was a discussion about this. I thought this is what the world needs. This is what people need when they're struggling through depression, because it is an isolated, lonely place if you don't have good support networks. I can tell you from experience. And so can Rob. So, I just thought, why not try and get this out? It is a holistic approach. You've got 5 different things that feed into that fabric of getting mental mastery around it. So, I just think this is absolute gold. Now what we're going to do is we're going to break down each one and have basically a little bit more of an in-depth conversation on each one of those pillars. So, buckle up.